Saint Joseph, patron of a happy death. Whoever had the good fortune to know Padre Pio and to meet him was fascinated more than once by his person. In his humility, something princely was discerned. Sometimes, through the sweet intonation of his voice, he tried to be stern, half joking, half laughing, so as to hide the sweetness of his pure and loving heart. His big, dark, and beautiful eyes, made limpid by long and faithful weeping in God's bosom, kept the vivid freshness of youth until his last days on earth, and were splendid with grace. During evening recreation, Padre Pio spoke continually. As he walked up and down the garden paths, he usually remained a little behind his brothers and lay people and other occasional visitors. Although he was not a tall man, he dominated others, attracting them like a magnet. On these occasions, surrounded by his spiritual sons and egged on by his confreres, he would sometimes tell religious jokes. He mimicked these jokes with warmth in his incredibly colorful dialect. One day the conversation touched on how easy it was to become an officer in the order of chivalry. Padre Pio often joked about his experiences in the army, especially about the time when he was falsely accused of desertion. On this occasion, he happily joined in the conversation and told the following story. An army officer, after spending a number of years in purgatory, presented himself at the gates of paradise, where St. Peter, as soon as he saw him, admonished him, "It's too soon. You still have to do a few thousand years." On hearing these words, the officer answered with a malicious smile, "But I have a letter of recommendation given to me by your colleague, St. Joseph." St. Peter saw him wink as if some agreement had been reached, so he replied dryly, "Recommendations have no value here, and as regards the letter written by St. Joseph, I don't give two hoots." At this reply, the officer understood that the procedure in that place was different from that used by men on earth, so he returned to purgatory. After some time he met St. Joseph, who was amazed to find him still in that place, and he asked him, "Are you still here? I wrote you a letter of recommendation for my colleague, St. Peter." Much disillusioned, the officer replied, "I'm sorry for you, dear St. Joseph, but my colleague up there says he doesn't give two hoots about your letter." St. Joseph was astounded at these words, so he immediately went to ask heaven's doorman for an explanation. "What's all this about?" protested the foster father of Jesus. "You accept the recommendations of St. Anthony of Padua and St. Ignatius, and you refuse mine? I want to know the reason." St. Peter didn't know what to say, so he gave the evasive reply, "Because that's the way I want it." Irritated, St. Joseph exclaimed, "I'll fix you," and turning to the Madonna, he ordered, "Mary, take the child Jesus, and let's go away from paradise."